Welcome back, it's Lincoln. So I just finished a 6-week cleanse from alcohol, weed, and caffeine. Coffee is one of the highlights of my day. I love waking up, making a cup of coffee, and reading or writing a little bit. The days that I have time to spend an hour or two doing that are some of my most treasured moments. Weed I utilize for a couple different reasons. One, it's a creativity tool for me. When I smoke pre-workout, I am much more connected to my body. And then I also use it as a way to relax because I am someone who is in general tense, uptight, kind of always on the go, very driven, competitive, but that can be taken to an extreme to where sometimes I just need to chill out a little bit. So I also smoke not as much in the evenings typically because weed, like alcohol, when you smoke at night, it actually disrupts your sleep cycles. So while it may help you get to sleep, it's going to actually prevent your body from going through the natural cycles of deep sleep and REM sleep. So what I found interesting is I imagined that the first 2 weeks were going to be very rough for me. And then I was just going to have about 4 weeks of just kind of in this cloud feeling amazing. What I found was week 3 hit me hard. It was like I was just exhausted. I didn't want to get out of bed. I almost probably went through a slight depression phase. So I believe actually at that point, I was fine caffeine-wise. But I think it was the withdrawal from the weed. I've smoked most days for probably the past 2 years or so. But what I noticed that it was even by the end of the 6 weeks, I didn't want to wake up and read first thing in the morning. It was much harder for me. I had to force my time researching. My workouts, I found myself rushing through my workouts. I typically like to take my time, get warmed up. It kind of lets the juices start to flow for what I'm about to create. But I found myself being more in my head for how I was going to work out versus just kind of feeling in and flowing with what my body said was right for the day. I will admit though, one huge perk that I noticed was my dreams became very, very vivid, and I was able to remember them a little better when I woke up in the mornings. Because many times I'll have this dream, I'll get all excited and I'll think of writing it down, and then I'll literally get out of bed and forget it. If you're someone who is very intrigued by your dreams and you want to remember them and start writing them down, a tip that my therapist gave me, she told me to lay in the same position. When I wake up, don't move. Because somehow our memory is connected with the position of our body. So if we stay there, we're able to kind of run ourselves back through the events and transfer the memory from that unconscious memory to more of a conscious state. So I found myself actually writing a little more about my dreams and then what I thought the meaning was behind them. Now, aside from just the physiological changes that occurred, on a psychological level, this was more of an obstacle to overcome, which means that as we go through an event, that kind of puts you into a state of mind to where you know you're not working or performing on your highest level, but you're still willing to kind of push through that because you know the end result is going to be worth it. That builds your self-efficacy or your ability and belief in yourself to overcome challenging obstacles. So what have I noticed smoking again and drinking caffeine? So the caffeine, I enjoy my mornings. I have researched more and I've been able to write more. But it was pretty incredible to see the increase in performance just from adding 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And now for the weed, I was just able to connect again and put myself into that creative space. I added in more new movements within this past week than I think I did in the entire 6-week phase before that. What I found to be extremely interesting though, is the next morning after I finished my cleanse, I was reading a book, A Resilient Life, and there were 2 quotes that were just kind of the perfect wrap up to my cleanse. So the one was by Thomas Merton. And it says, "No one who simply eats or drinks when he feels like eating or drinking, or smokes whenever he feels the urge to light a cigarette, or gratify his curiosity and sensuality whenever they are stimulated, consider himself a free person. He has renounced his spiritual freedom and become the servant of bodily impulse. Therefore, his mind and will are not fully his own. They are under the power of his appetites. They are under the controls of those who gratify his appetites. I also read another great quote that morning from Elton Trueblood. Acceptance of discipline is the price of freedom. Now, discipline can be viewed as something that is actually restricting you. And there is a point of too much discipline. If you have a habit or routine integrated, and I have been faulty of this, and I'm doing it just for the sake of doing it without it actually taking me another step towards my goals, then it was imprisoning me because I was doing it for my ego, not for an actual benefit to my life. But putting yourself through a detox or a cleanse can help build that discipline that you can apply to other areas of life. So now I want to ask you, what is one thing that you know deep down you could take a break from, or it would do your mind or body good to stop for a couple weeks at least? Think about it. Comment one thing that you could cleanse or detox from below. If you feel like this video would serve someone well, please share. Thank you and have a blessed week.